What's going on, dudes and dudettes? If you're like me, you've always wanted to make a Nova Sorc in D2R. Well, I finally got this character together, and in this video I'm going to share with you 3 different build variants you could use to play this class. I'm going to also go over some of the basics, the stuff I've learned to navigate this character all the way into hell, grush people, do the Ubers, do declone. It's all accessible, it's all available, and I'm going to share that with you now. This version of the Nova Sorceress uses a handheld infinity scythe. If you see players using this, they're getting to enjoy the benefit of the negative enemy light res, so other build versions won't have this. They get 47 up to negative 55 enemy light res when they do damage to targets. Unless they're wielding this personally, the infinity, they're not going to get that. And the reason most people use a scythe or something similar like this is because of it only requires 41 dex and 41 strength to use it. Look at the point allocation over here for the character sheet. You only put in enough strength to wear all of your gear, and you only need 91 for this version if you don't have non-eth Trex, which is sitting right here, because it does require 91 strength. In addition, everything else after you have enough strength for the character goes into energy. You are going to rely on energy shield to keep yourself alive. If you don't have a high-level energy shield, this build will not feel good, and you will get crushed. The goal is to achieve level 40 energy shield with the build, and we'll go over that when we get there. As for the actual gear breakdown, handheld infinity scythe for this version. I have Mage Fist gauntlets that have been up to battle gauntlets for defense. You've got a Griffin's Eye diadem. You're going to use Skin of the Viper Magi, and you're also going to use dual SOJs, Arachnid Mesh. A crafted amulet is ideal. +2 sorcerer skills, 20 faster cast rate is nice to have. You don't need 20 FCR. The faster cast rate breakpoints for any sorceress doing Nova like this is 105. So we're at 115 in this version. 105 is the, what I would say, ideal breakpoint. You could also go with 200 faster cast rate, which requires a completely different setup, but also achievable. And as for the boots, we're talking about Sandstorm Trex. The reason I think you should go for these boots over something else like Silk Weaves is because you get 70 poison res. Energy Shield here will stop every single kind of damage in the game except for poison. So it'll stop magic, it'll stop physical, fire, lightning, and cold, but there's one element that it doesn't stop, and that's poison. So to shore that up, that weakness, I rely on Sandstorm Trex. On swap, I'd recommend you use a CTA if you can get one, a Call to Arms, and a Lidless Wall Grim Shield. Put both of these together, you're going to get +2 to all skills, and they still come in under the 91 strength requirement to put more points and energy for the character. Okay? That being said, I've upped the Skin of the Viper Magi to Wormhide because I get more defense. It's only 84 strength to use. I've upped the Mage Fist up to Battle Gauntlets. It only needs 88 strength to use. It still comes in under that 91. The highest strength requirement thing in this entire handheld Nova Sorc build is Trex, unless you can get them ethereal. And it's okay if they're ethereal because they self-repair. Look at the last line there. They self-repair, so they're not going to break on you. That's clean. As for the inventory, get a torch if you can with obviously sorceress skills. Get an Annihilus Small Charm to give you more attributes, which then applies, you know, to strength and energy, keeping you alive. And then I have a Geeds because it's nice to have something, right? Magic Find and then vendor price reduction as well. I've also got a Crack of the Heavens. You're going to want this for anything because if you don't have the ability to remove the immunity from monsters like lightning immunity, if you can't sunder that, static just doesn't work. And static is a big part of this build. And then the rest are just lightning skillers. Ideally, you're going to get, you don't really care too much about life. Ideally, these would be faster hit recovery. So you want to hit a faster hit recovery, in my opinion, of like 60. Faster hit recovery would be nice, and currently we're only getting 20, and that's from the boots. So if you can get 12% faster hit recovery +1 lightning skills GC, go for that. One quick note, one of the drawbacks of the self-wheeled infinity version of this Nova Sorc is that you don't really get a chance to enjoy a lot of magic find with this version. If you look in this example, we're only getting +70% better chance of getting magical items, and that's because there's not a whole lot of wiggle room here. You do want to hit the 105 faster cast rate breakpoint, and then beyond that, there's not much help from the gear. So you could use 7% small magic find charms down here. You could also give up some plus to skills, though I wouldn't recommend it. That is just a consequence of this version. You give up magic find for more damage. One thing to talk about, some new technology in Season 3 is the Cure helmet-based Runewords. So you get to enjoy Cleansing Aura, which also triple dips. So Cure will also benefit from prayer, which also benefits from meditation. So when you put all these 3 things together, your energy will actually go up rapidly compared to not having this set up. So if you are going to use Cure and meditation and prayer all together with insight, cure, and then a prayer merc out of Act 2, you're going to want to change up the body armor. Typically, you'd rely on fortitude as the end game option, but in this case, Chains of Honor does the job because it gives you physical damage received reduced by %8, and then also gives you life leech, which is extremely important. Without life leech, your mercenary will get clapped and tattooed. So an example of what that might look like would be something like this, right? We go ahead, we swap over to our CTA and Lidless Wall. We toss on Battle Command, Battle Orders, and then we put on our shields, right? Energy Shield, Frozen Armor, T-Storm, and then we move, right? So with all that extra regeneration happening on players 8, this Nova Sorc just gets through it kind of nice. Which is ideal, right? So let's go ahead and get in there, like really see what happens when we get cranked. These guys are a pretty good example, right? Look at that mana. The mana, we have amp damage now, right? We're just, nothing is, we're not even moving. Life is good. And we don't have 40 energy shield just yet, but have a look now, see? Now we're going to get out of there and let's see how that mana regenerates. It's almost instantaneous. And again, this is on Players 8 content, right? So let's have a look right here. Players 8, perfect. Just crazy. Crazy regeneration. Very tanky build. Very tanky. One last thing to touch on here. Whenever you're playing the class, it's ideal to use static fields. So if you don't have a Crack of the Heavens here, if you don't have this Grand Charm, and you haven't sundered the lightning resistance, which is to say remove the lightning immunity from targets, they cannot be affected by static. So it's why it's important that you sunder everything and eliminate any lightning immunity from the targets. Once it's been sundered or removed, you can then use static. And in Nightmare, static will bring anybody's max HP down to 33% at the lowest, and in Hell, static can only bring a target down to 50% of its health. So the play pattern should be something like this. I'll show you. We'll get over here, come on over here. You want to go static, 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 kind of eliminate all the HP, and then you use Nova to clean it up. So in actuality, like a use case, it's something like this, right? Have a look at these targets. Use static, 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 and then Nova, Nova, and Nova. And you kind of push it away like that. That's what you want to do. If you're coming in here just using Nova, you can do it. It's a bit more lazy play, but you'll notice how much more advantageous static field is, right? And your static field is massive, so you're going to hit things even off your screen, which is great. So the second version of a Nova Sorc you could try is a Crescent Moon-wielding Nova Sorceress. It gives you negative 35 enemy light res, which is really nice when paired with Infinity that your mercenary is going to use. I am also using Griffin's Eye Diadem with the 5/5 facet, as well as the Skin of the Viper Magi. That's the same. If you are using this to be a Magic Find build, as you'll see as we go through the gear, you may want to toss some Istrunes in there just to help out. The amulet is a 220, but this could be 215 for this version. The shield is a Spirit Monarch. It does require us to use 156 strength to equip, so there is that restriction or penalty compared to the handheld Nova Sorc. As for the gloves, we're using Chance Guards, dual SOJ rings. We are using Gold Wrap that has been upped to a Troll Belt for more potion slots for the build. As for boots, we're using War Traveler Battle Boots. On swap, you can use a CTA and a Spirit Monarch, again because you have the 156 strength. Looking at the character, we put enough points into strength to wield everything, which is 156, and the rest of our remaining points goes into energy. Now, if you look at this, you're going to want to bring over Memory. So Memory is a rune word that goes in a 4-slot staff. It gives you +6 to energy shield. You want to find one that can go up to +9. A white base on a staff like this could roll +3 energy shield, so look for that, because +3 energy shield plus the Memory rune word equals +9 energy shield. So if you could imagine having +9 to your energy shield over here, right, you could easily attain that level 40 that you need to have 95% damage reduction. As for the Merc, this is what he would look like if you want to give it a shot. You're still using Prayer, so you're going to use Chains of Honor, Cure to regenerate that mana pool, and also Infinity. The nice part about Infinity here is he now has the Conviction aura, but he also has Crushing Blow of 40%. So as long as he's connecting with targets with large HP pools, and he's alive, he will apply 40% chance of Crushing Blow, which is nice. The build is still the same. All the skills are the same from the first version. 1 point of Frozen Armor, all the way down. You max Static Field, Nova. You max Lightning Mastery, 1 point T-Storm. Max Telekinesis and start dumping points in Energy Shield until you hit 40 comfortably. And Fire Skills, 1 point into Warmth. And without further ado, I give you the McLaren F1 version of the Nova Sorc here in D2R Season 3. It is a 200 faster cast rate version, which is the absolute highest faster cast rate version of the class you can get. And in this, you still get some Magic Find, which is very low, but I'll break down the gear for you to achieve 200 faster cast rate. You have a Heart of the Oak Flail giving you 40% FCR. You're going to use a Griffin's Eye Diadem. You're going to also use Skin of the Viper Magi. Mage Fist up to Battle Gauntlets. You have 110 FCR ring. And if you get some sort of strength on this or poison length reduction or energy, that also helps for the build. You're going to be using an Arachnid's Mesh, 1 SOJ to increase your mana pool. I do still have a crafted amulet with 20 FCR and +2 sorcerer skills. That is critical for the build. A 35, perfect 35 rolled FCR is required, and we're using Sandstorm Treks to shore up that poison res. On swap, you can probably guess, a CTA and a spirit if you want to go that way. Now, when everything's all said and done, 200 faster cast rate, moves rather rapidly. It is quite fast, so we're going to go ahead and toss on some auras and take this for a spin, right? There's your battle orders, and let's see how this goes. Really quick, man. This thing really goes fast. Really nice. And if you're looking for something quick that kills itself, this is the class for you. And so there you have it. That's basically everything you want to know. You've got to hit 105 faster cast rate at least to play this class. You want to have at least a level 40 energy shield, so it just doesn't happen to you. I have been enjoying it. This thing can farm runes really easily. It's probably the fastest, easiest class to farm runes that I've seen outside of a Trav, Whirlwind, Hork Barb, and I think you're going to enjoy it. I hope that this answers some questions for you. Feel free to leave some questions in the comments below. I read them all, and if I can help you fly through Sanctuary to grush people, kill the Ubers, kill Declone through this build, I'm more than willing to do that. So thank you for checking out this video. I hope this helps, and I'll see you on the next one.